In 1975, a young engineer walked into a Kodak boardroom, carrying the future, a camera that needed no film at all. His bosses stared at the first digital camera in history and told him to hide it. Their billions came from selling film. This is the story of Kodak, the company that invented its own killer. And this is no ordinary story. Our story begins in 1888 with a high school dropout and former bank clerk from Rochester, New York, named George Eastman. Back then, taking a single photograph meant glass plates, toxic chemicals, and a science degree. Photography belonged to professionals and no one else. Eastman changed everything with one small box. His Kodak camera came loaded with film and a slogan that built an empire. You press the button, we do the rest. 6 words that put a camera into the hands of ordinary people for the very first time. But here is the secret. Eastman was not really selling cameras. Cameras were cheap. The real money was in what you bought next: film. Roll after roll, decade after decade. Kodak had invented the razor and blades business model a century before anyone named it. It worked almost too well. By the 1970s, Kodak sold 90% of America's film and 85% of its cameras. Your wedding, your children, your holidays. Human memory itself came printed on Kodak paper. They even called it a Kodak moment, an empire built on film. Total, unbeatable. Which is why the most dangerous thing in Kodak's history was invented inside its own walls. 1975, a 24-year-old engineer named Steve Sasson worked alone in a Kodak lab with a strange idea. He bolted together circuit boards, a lens, and a cassette tape recorder into a toaster-sized machine unlike anything the world had seen. It took 23 seconds to record a single black and white image, 100 pixels wide. It was crude, it was slow. But it was the world's first digital camera, filmless photography, invented by Kodak, inside Kodak, with Kodak's own money. Sasson demonstrated it to executives, and their response has become legend. That's cute, but don't tell anyone about it. Understand, they were not stupid. Kodak's own researchers predicted digital would take over photography within just 10 to 15 years. The executives saw the future clearly. That was the problem. Every digital camera sold meant one thing: film not sold. Film carried profit margins of up to 70%. Kodak was not blind to the future. Kodak was afraid of it. So the company did the most human thing imaginable. It buried the future and hoped nobody else would ever dig it up. Somebody else dug it up. Through the 80s and 90s, Sony, Canon, and Nikon raced into digital while Kodak hesitated. When Kodak finally committed in the 2000s, it briefly topped the American digital camera market and lost money on every single unit. Then came the killing blow nobody saw coming. In 2007, the camera stopped being a product. It became a feature. People were suddenly taking more photographs than at any moment in human history, and Kodak earned nothing from any of them. In January 2012, the company that owned human memory for a century filed for bankruptcy. That same year, a 13-person startup called Instagram, a photography company with no factories and no film, sold for $1 billion. 13 people, $1 billion. The Kodak moment now belonged to someone else. Everyone says Kodak missed digital, but Kodak invented digital. It saw the future first and predicted its own death almost to the year. The lesson is darker. The hardest competitor to beat is not the one attacking your business. It is the one your business cannot afford to become.